We're going to take our applications with lines up just a little bit here to another level. We're going to have some that involve a little bit of multiplication. It's pretty similar and it's not too hard. So you've done these somewhere in your past as well, probably. We're going to find the perimeter of a rectangle. And so do you remember the perimeter is if you just added up like all the fencing on the outside of the shape? So if we've got a rectangle here, we're going to have add up the perimeter of a rectangle is 2 L's plus 2 W's. So it's literally L plus W, L plus W. So just abbreviated, this is our formula for our perimeter. Now I'm going to make a dictionary here, and where I've got the length and the width are my two sides. Now typically in a problem like this, one of the sides is built from the other one. And they're telling me the length is 3 feet greater than the width. So the width is the one on which we build from. Now the length is 3 greater than the width. Okay, so it's 3 greater than the width. Okay, well, what are the dimensions? All we're going to do is plug it into our perimeter formula here, which is just adding up all the way around. That's all it's doing. So you could technically do that. So when I sub in, I'm putting it in parentheses. I mentioned that in the last video. And the reason is because this time we have multiplication. So I've got to distribute. So if I'm doing 2 times 3 plus x, I'm going to get 6 plus 2x. And then over here, that's 2x. Oh, I'm sorry. And they told us the perimeter equals 54. So we know this equals 54. Now let's solve for x. I've got 4x plus 6 equals 54. Just combine my like terms. Now I'm going to get it down to a factor puzzle here. Dividing both sides by 4. So x is 12. Now we aren't done. They want the dimensions. So back to my dictionary. X is 12. The length is 3 plus 12. 15. So my dimensions are 12 by 15. Okay, we're going to do another one. It's again the same idea. It's a rectangle again. I've got my length and my width. I'm going to set up my dictionary. One of them is built off the other one. The length is 1 centimeter more than twice the width. So once again, the one I'm building off of is the width. So the length is 1 more than twice that, I don't know. Now let's do our perimeter formula again. 2 of the lengths and 2 of the widths equals 110. Okay, so I'm going to distribute now. That's why the value of the substituting with the parentheses is that you've got to be careful that you have to multiply. It helps you see you've got the distributive property. So I've got this and this equals 110. Okay, so combine my like terms. Now get it down to a factor puzzle. I've got 6x equals 9. X is 9 over 6, or 3 halves. We're going to call that 1.5. Okay, so let's go back to our dictionary. I know my width is 1.5, so my length is 1 more than twice that 1.5. Well, that's going to be 1 plus 3. It's going to be 4. So my dimensions are 1.5 and 4, and I should be putting units on there. These are both centimeters. Okay, we're doing the same thing, I think. I was hoping for a little difference, but we got the same thing. Okay, so length and width. Now, let's build one of them. It's the same once again. So the width is the one that we don't know, and we can build the length from it. 6 more than the width. Oh, I see. We have added something different. Well, not much. So we've got the perimeter, so we'll set that up here. 48 equals 2 to 6 plus x plus 2 times x. Now what they want is the area of this paper when we're done. So we're going to find the dimensions just like we did before, but area is when you multiply those times each other. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. So we can find those using the perimeter formula, and then we're going to stick it into the area formula just to get our final answer. That's the only difference. So basically the same thing. I'm distributing the 2. I get this. Now, I've been flipping this around just because I like to see it this way, but it wouldn't make any difference. So I've cleaned up the room on the right, getting rid of the 12 so I can get down to a factor puzzle. Okay, so we get x is 9. Now we're not done. We're going to go back up to our dictionary. I know the width is 9, and then the length is 9 plus 6, so you'd get 15. Now area is length times width, so we're going to multiply those together. 9 times 15, and what do we get? 135. So I don't know if you remember how this works. It'd be cubic inches, so these each had their own unit. So this was inches and inches. If you multiply inches together, it becomes inches squared, just like it was a variable. Okay, same thing here, but are they asking? Yeah, they're asking for the area. They didn't really say it, but feet squared is, they're hiding the idea that we want the area there. So we're going to do our length and our width. So I don't know the width, but the length is 5 more than twice the width. So let's do our formula. 70 is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. Now I'm just going to distribute that. Okay, solving for x now. Just subtracting 10 from both sides. Got it down to a factor puzzle, so divide by 6, and I get 10 equals x. Okay, so back to my dictionary. So 10 feet this time is my width. Now my length is going to be 5 more than twice that 10. So you see that'll be 25 feet. And even though the question is kind of hiding it, we want the area, so we're doing 25 times 10. So it's the length times width is an area. So we get 250 in feet squared. Okay, this one's unusual that we're doing the volume, and it's a box. So the volume here is going to be length times width times the height. So we're still doing the same thing. We've got our length and our width, and we're going to build one of them off the other. Well, I don't know the width, but the length is twice the width. So I've got L and W, and we need H, but they actually told us the height is 8. So I'm going to put in my volume, and I'm going to have length, which is now 2x, width, which is x, and my height is 8. So we're going to solve this for x here. So now these are all being multiplied. Doesn't matter the order. I can put the numbers together. I'm going to get 16x squared. Okay, so divide both sides by 16. So I should back up a little bit on this. So if there's ever something unique, we want to get this unique or difficult part all by itself. So the way I would do that here is by dividing both sides by 16, and I would get 100. Now, x squared equals 100. Well, if we want to get rid of x squared, we would square root it. But if we square root this side, we've got to do it to the other. So x is going to be 10. Now technically, you square root aside, its x could be plus or minus 10, but we're talking the dimensions of a box, so negative 10 doesn't make any sense. So we've got x is 10 inches. Now let's go back to our dictionary. If the width is 10, the length is 2 times 10, or 20. Now it wants the dimensions, so that's the length, the width, and the height. So it's 10 by 20 by 8, because they told us the height. Okay, again, the book is always thin on examples. Some of their other textbooks have oodles of examples, especially Algebra 1. This one is pretty limited, so if you need something else, I'll supplement it.